All right, let's get right into it. We're going to unpack Mark Manson's book. And let me tell you, it completely flips the script on conventional self help. The whole idea here is that the path to a genuinely good life isn't about chasing positivity 24/7. Nope, it's about something way more real, getting good at choosing what actually deserves your attention. So, our story begins with this kind of weird epitaph on a tombstone. Don't try. This was for Charles Bukowski, a writer who was, a bit of a train wreck for most of his life. He was a master of failure. But here's the thing. His success didn't come because he finally started trying to be a winner. It came when he just accepted who he was, flaws and all, and wrote about it with brutal honesty. He basically stopped giving a damn about success, and that's exactly how he found it. Kind of weird, right? But that idea is our starting point. First up, let's talk about something I think we all feel, this insane, relentless pressure to just be positive. I mean, it's everywhere, right? Social media, self-help books, they're all screaming at us to be happier, healthier, smarter, better than everyone else. But what if that obsession, that constant chase for the positive, is actually making us feel worse? What if it's just a constant reminder of everything we're not? Well, that pressure leads to this nasty little trap that Manson calls the feedback loop from hell. Here's how it works. You feel anxious about something. Then you start feeling anxious about the fact that you're anxious. Or you get angry, and then you get angry at yourself for being angry. See? It's this downward spiral. And the trap is that our culture has tricked us into thinking that feeling bad is, well, bad. And that belief is exactly what keeps us stuck in the loop. This whole thing basically turns common sense completely upside down. The philosopher Alan Watts had a name for it, the backwards law. Think about it. The more desperately you want to be happy, the more you're just reinforcing the idea that you aren't happy right now. It's a negative experience. But, and here's the crazy part, the moment you accept a negative experience, the moment you can just say, yeah, I feel kind of crappy today, and that's okay, you actually create a positive experience. You've just broken the feedback loop. Okay, so if chasing happiness is a dead end, what are we supposed to do? Well, it means we have to tackle another huge myth about life, the fantasy that a happy life is a life with no problems. Here's the truth. Problems never, ever go away. They just change. They get upgraded. A person struggling to pay rent has money problems. You know who else has money problems? Warren Buffett. He just has much, much better money problems to solve. So happiness isn't this magical state of problem-free bliss. Happiness is the process of solving problems. It's in the action. Now, we're really good at messing this up for ourselves in two main ways. First, there's denial. That's when we just pretend our problems don't exist. It gives us a quick hit of relief, but it leads to a life of insecurity, just waiting for it all to fall apart. And then there's the victim mentality. This is where we decide we can't solve our problems and start blaming everyone and everything else. Both are easy ways out, for sure, but they're also a one-way ticket to misery. This right here, this question completely reframes everything. Forget asking, what do you want to enjoy? I mean, come on, everybody wants the good stuff. The real gut check question is, what struggle are you willing to sign up for? What pain are you willing to endure to get what you want? Because your answer to that question, that's what will actually determine where you end up in life. And once you start choosing your struggles, it leads you to this really liberating idea. It's about letting go of this toxic belief, fueled by our highlight reel culture, that every single one of us has to be exceptional to have a life that matters. Just look at these two guys. Dave Mustaine gets kicked out of Metallica, so he goes and forms Megadeth, a massively successful band that sells over 25 million albums. Sounds like a win, right? But he spent his life measuring himself against Metallica's success, and he always felt like a failure. Then you have Pete Best. He got kicked out of the Beatles, arguably the biggest band in history, a total catastrophe. But years later, he said he was happier because he chose to value different things, like his wife and his family. It's a perfect example of how the yardstick you use to measure your life is everything. This is what Manson calls shitty values. Why? Because they're terrible things to build your life around. Pleasure feels good, but it's just a side effect. It's not a goal in itself. Material success is nice, but it doesn't guarantee happiness. Always needing to be right means you never learn anything, and constantly trying to stay positive is just another way of avoiding your real problems. These values create bad problems and, ultimately, a pretty empty life. Because we're flooded with images of extraordinary people all day long, average has started to feel like the new definition of failure. But that's a total trap. Real greatness, real improvement doesn't come from believing you're already special. It comes from accepting that you're not, that you're actually pretty average, and you have a ton of room to grow. That's what sparks the real desire to get better. Okay, so we've basically burned down the house of conventional wisdom. We've thrown out positivity, the pursuit of a problem-free life, and the need to be exceptional. So what's left? How in the world do we figure out what's actually worth caring about? Now, hold on, this isn't meant to be depressing. It's actually the most important tool you have. Seriously, when you really, truly confront the fact that your time is limited, it forces you to ask the big question, what am I doing here? What is my legacy? It's like the ultimate filter. All this small, petty, trivial stuff just melts away, and you're left with what truly, deeply matters to you. And that right there is the whole point. This is the subtle art. It's not about apathy. It's not about not caring about anything. It's the exact opposite. It's about getting so comfortable with who you are that you can choose what to care about and what to just let go of. It's about deciding where to aim your limited supply of energy and attention. It's about giving your fucks wisely. So in the end, it all comes down to this one question. Because the things you choose to care deeply about, the problems you're willing to solve, the values you're willing to stand for, that's it. That is what will define the quality and the meaning of your life.